Funding for the Maddy Report is made possible by grants from the Spencer family, Community Health System, Harris Ranch Resort, Producers Dairy, Valley Children's Healthcare, and The Wonderful Company. Additional support provided by from the Maddy Institute, the Public Policy Institute for the Valley's public universities. This is the Maddy Report with Executive Director of the Maddy Institute, Blake Zante.
Welcome to the Maddy Report. Today we'll be discussing the development and future of the California High-Speed Rail with Ian Choudri, Chief Executive Officer for the California High-Speed Rail Authority. Thank you for joining us today, Ian. Really appreciate you being on the program.
Glad to be here. Well, I always love to come back to Fresno every time I can find an opportunity.
Well, we're glad that you're here in Fresno, in the Valley. For our viewers at home, could you just briefly introduce yourself, your background, and maybe talk about your role as CEO of the authority?
Well, yeah, sure. I've been in infrastructure business for about 30 years, primarily on the construction. So I used to be on projects that are equal or bigger than the one we are working on right now. Engineer by education, have been in different roles, lived around in about 20 countries, and it was always relevant to a project, whatever we were doing. So talk about high-speed rail, ports, airports, commercializing assets for cargo movement, highways, motorways, nuclear, power, defense business. That's my background for over a long period of time. And then I came here. I was aware of this project since 2014. I was following it as the other side, being a contractor, and was coming and visiting with the authority when it was only maybe 20 people in that building in Sacramento. And I was seeing that there are challenges, and most of the challenges we were trying to advise at the time to the authority how to resequence work and do it differently. There came a point where I was like, we are reaching a moment where either we're going to do it or we are not going to be able to finish it. That's where the conversation began in, I think I would say it's like April, May of 2024. And then came a time in September when I said, all right, well, if we got to do something to make this project as an example for the country and for the state of California that we can do it, well, the best thing to do is like just go in and work on it. And just get it reorganized, rearranged, the whole deck of cards, and sequence it in a way that public can feel like there is a way to do it. And I said, all right, I will go in. And so that's when I joined, September 2024. And we are here, and 1 year later, we have made significant progress, and more than happy to discuss that.
Well, and we'll certainly talk about that progress later in the program. Maybe could you just give a brief overview of how this project got started? I think a lot of folks are familiar with high-speed rail. It's constantly in our news feeds, but maybe there are some viewers, maybe even younger viewers, who this sort of came before the voters before they were born, or there are folks that are new to the state or the region. So could you talk about the history of California high-speed rail? How did we get here, and sort of from then to now? Well,
yeah, I mean, as far as I remember, my memory of this project since 2008, 9, 10. So when the measure was passed in 2008, when we said we are going to build it, there were a couple of things in that law. One was we will build it, and we will build it with X billion dollars. Well, we didn't know where to start and where to finish and where the route is going to go, but somehow we knew the number. So that was the starting point to get it on a footing with an expectation that it's going to be that $1 billion. I don't know, it was 34 or 38 or whatever that number was. So that was the starting point. 2008, we said we're going to do that. Then we also said, how long is it going to take to run a train between this city to this city? Well, whatever it was. The numbers were like 23 minutes and 10 seconds. We still have the same issue. We didn't know the route. We don't know where the line's going to go, but we somehow knew that it's going to take X minutes and X seconds. And so that's how it all got started. The expectations were set that way. And then we moved into the program. And then 2012, we looked for federal funding. We had bonds that we had some money from. And then we looked at federal government, and then we got some funding under President Obama at the time. That was the American Recovery Act, so it was ARA funding. We got funds with the expectation that we will start building high-speed rail. And so we said, go. And then we realized if we go, well, later, now the lessons learned is, we should have taken our time to buy the land on which we need to build the house. We just said we're going to build the house, and we brought the contractor in, and we said, go. And they were like, where? And we're like, oh, hold on. We are going to tell you where the land is going to be. And the contractor's like, well, I'm here with all my crew and labor, so you got to tell me because I need to start, I'm paying these people. That's where it got sequenced the wrong way. And it was driven by the intention. The intentions were good. People they didn't just realize how complicated it's going to be in terms of acquisition of land of 2,000 and some parcels. Majority of them went through some sort of disputes, litigations, court cases, while the contractor was still there. So that is the history of the program. It was not sequenced in the right order.
Thank you for that history. We're going to take a quick break and we'll talk more about the project in just a moment. This is the Maddy Report. Welcome back. Thank you again, Mr. Choudri, for being here on the program today. The California high-speed rail system is designed to eventually span, if I'm correct, about 800 miles, connecting major cities across the state. And it's being built in phases. You kind of talked about the sequencing before we went to the break earlier. If you could maybe just break down the phases for us, the current phase that's being built here in the San Joaquin Valley, and then the other phases that are eventually going to connect San Francisco and Los Angeles. Where are we at in those phases, and could you just break that down for us?
Sure. 800 miles of distance, probably over 2,000 miles of track miles. So it's significant. It's the largest program in North and South America combined for a rail program. And so we are here in the valley doing all what we said we're going to finish, which is the 171 miles. 119 or 120 miles are getting ready by the end of 2026 for us to lay tracks. So we are procuring today, this year, the material, which is including rail, the wires, the poles, the catenary, the power system. We are placing direct orders to the suppliers to purchase it. And starting first quarter of 2026, we will have those materials start getting delivered. We prepared our warehouse, massive facility in north of Bakersfield in Wasco. We said in January this year that we will get that ready by the end of this year. Well, good news, it's done. We are connected to the freight line. BNSF is our partner. And we are connected to the national freight network, so we can get all the materials in. Next year, we are also getting a track contractor in, so we can start laying tracks. So in the 120 miles, you will start seeing high-speed tracks being laid. Where do we go from there? Central Valley. We are looking at both sides. We are looking at how quickly we can get to Gilroy, because that's the interconnecting point with Caltrain, and then how quick we can get to Palmdale. In our business plan, in the project update report that we released about 3-4 months ago, we laid out a plan for not only the funding, but also financing, and how can we utilize the dollars that the system will create from itself so it can start paying back into the capital expenditure as we want to do. So our plan is now, in February or March of 2026, you will see our new business plan with the full strategy of connecting San Francisco to LA, And we will lay out, again, a new approach, how to streamline, optimize, and be smart in building what we need, not overbuilding it. So right-sizing everything and cutting the cost in a way that use more innovation to it. And in that plan, we will tell the story of if we are given all the tools that we need, we can get Gilroy, Palmdale, Merced, Bakersfield by 2038, 39, in our lifetime, this time. I can say that, yeah.
And why was the why was the Central Valley chosen as the starting point for the high-speed rail project? And you were talking a little bit about where we're at in the phase and the construction, but was there a reason why the Central Valley was the primary focus to begin with, or were there alternative construction plans that were being considered early on in the project?
There were, however, when the President Obama's team came to the grant agreement with us, they considered two things: air quality in Central Valley, traffic that was there, pollution, and jobs. So in that agreement that we had with the federal government, Central Valley was picked to start first. But that's how it was laid right from the beginning. We could have done, if we were fully funded and we had every legislative jurisdictional authority for what we wanted to do, we could have considered different ways to construct. But we had that constraint in the federal grant.
Thank you. We're going to take another quick break and we'll be right back after this. This is the Maddy Report. Welcome back to the Maddy Report. It's no secret that there has been much criticism surrounding the high-speed rail project, especially within the last couple of months. Now we'll take a look at some of the challenges the project has encountered over the years and what lies ahead for the future of high-speed rail in California. Mr. Choudri, you pretty much in the early parts of our recording, our interview here, you've acknowledged a lot of the challenges and hurdles that have kind of taken place, and how the authorities really had to pivot in addressing some of these challenges. Earlier this year, the U.S. Department of Transportation canceled some federal funding for projects related to the high-speed rail, which followed the cancellation of about $4 billion in federal grants. How does this loss of funding impact the overall progress and timeline of the project? And are there any current strategies that the authority is exploring to adapt to those setbacks?
So we hope that the federal government stays as a partner to the program. Anytime an initiative in this country that is as big as this one has been taken in the past, the federal government has always partnered with local states and local governments. So it is sad to see that the federal government is where they are today. This is a public infrastructure project paid by the taxpayer, and they want to see the results. So we had challenges, and they are no different than the challenges we had when we built the Big Dig in Northeast. It's no different than challenges we went through when we decided to build the interstate highway grid. There was a time and there was a schedule for that. And we were behind by 50 years, but it got done. And trillions of dollars, trillions, right? So here we are on this program, the first true high-speed rail in North America, under construction, moving forward, creating jobs, making progress. And then we have this issue. The federal government says, we don't want to continue to fund it. Hold on a second, I say to myself, like, have we not done this before? We have programs like these that go through these challenges. What is the challenge? Well, we had environmental laws we have to follow. We have litigations on 3,000 parcels. We will have more of that. That slows down. We have utilities that are in the way, thousands of them, that we have to deal with. And then we have to launch construction. So if you got to build 800 miles of this, 3,000 miles of track, it takes time and challenges. I wish we were in the desert and there was nobody there, and we could have just done it like China, just go, blow and go, build a lay tracks and say, here are your keys, system is ready. But we are not. And so we need to live in the reality The challenges were presented from the local situations that we were facing, encountering as we were building. So we were launching the plane full speed, and then we were fixing it at the same time because we were running into issues. And those issues were not, we didn't have a crystal ball to see those challenges can come in this way, in this manner. That took time. Now let's look at where we are. Laying tracks next year, putting trains by 2032. And if we are funded and have all the jurisdictional tools, jurisdictional powers to do what we want to do, we can connect all, Merced, Gilroy, Palmdale by 2038. It's doable. It is infrastructure project. Let's not politicize. Let's not use it for any other thing other than it's a public infrastructure. So for the life of me, I just want to find a way to tell the federal government it is public infrastructure, is not games.
Thank you. Thanks for answering that question. We're going to take another quick break, and we'll be right back after this. This is the Maddy Report. Welcome back. Mr. Choudri, thanks again for joining us on the program today. Really appreciate your time being here in the Central Valley. We were talking about some of the challenges with the project, and several Central Valley leaders have publicly criticized the high-speed rail project. Others have, expressed support for the project. You were talking earlier about the politicization of, this infrastructure project over the years, and some of the criticism is surrounded, cost overruns, delays. You spoke to that a little bit about, the litigation, how there are, utilities, population centers, other agencies, and levels of government to navigate. How do you respond to these criticisms, especially when this is sort of ground zero for the project? And is there any efforts that are being made for the authority to improve transparency in light of some of these criticisms?
Well, to your last point first, I'm here. Ask me any question. Anyone who wants to talk to me. That's the level of transparency we want to put in front of the public who has expectations of this project to get built. Look, the criticism will remain there until we have the trains running. And I take the criticism really as input and feedback to what public is thinking and they want to see. And I want to engage and say, hey, here is the plan. This time, nothing is there that we are going to hide. We are here, absolutely transparent. We will tell you what we are doing, and we will deliver on what we are saying we are doing. And we will also share with you if we see that there is a problem that we cannot control, meaning I need more jurisdictional powers for the authority to be able to deal with the issues that I talked about. We will let the public know that this is the reality. We are faced with these challenges for the last 15 years. Now we need to fix it. So look, there will be people who will not like this project until there is a train. And I want to tell them it's not far from today. We are only 5 years, 6 years away when there will be trains running in Central Valley, and then when we'll be focusing on connecting it to San Jose and then Palmdale. So my view is this. If people want to see what the progress is, just come visit here. 57 miles of what we call guideway, ready to lay tracks, is done. It's finished. It looks like bridge to nowhere when you go around, but the next phase is track laying. Then you will see rail tracks. And you're like, okay, what's remaining? Trains. That's how we have sequenced it. So when we don't have rail, yes, I see people criticizing, oh, well, there is so much infrastructure, where is the train? Well, we are not going to buy the train before we have the road. And so we need to buy the car once we have the road. First of all, which town we are going to go to. Then we do the tracks, and then we get the trains. And that's within 2032.
Now, finally, for our last question today, this project, when it's completed, could be very transformative for the region and its economy, connecting different cities up and down the state. Could you just speak to that aspect? As we look ahead, how can the high-speed rail, or how will the high-speed rail have an effect on our regional economy here in the Valley?
Yeah, of course. I mean, I love high-speed rail. I've worked on so many projects in the world, and I've seen transformation that occurs right after when the high-speed rail systems are connected or connecting big towns with the small towns. Just take Fresno as an example. Fresno getting connected to San Jose in 45 minutes or less. And now compare from San Carlos to go to San Francisco in a car, which used to be 30 minutes, because I used to live there, is now about an hour. And so you say, okay, 30 miles, 1 hour, or 1 hour, 10 minutes, depends on time of the day. And now we are saying Fresno to San Jose is 45 minutes or less. That transforms the economy of Fresno. Why is it? Because simply, if businesses in Silicon Valley are not able to expand anywhere because land use is done and there is no place to go do anything, data centers or new jobs creation or campuses they want to build more, if they have this high-speed line connecting the two sides, Central Valley to Silicon Valley, really simply for them is no-brainer that we are going to Fresno. Same will happen to Merced, same will happen to Madera, same will happen to Bakersfield, and same will happen to Palmdale. This is not something that we are inventing. This is how high speed transformed Japan, Spain, Italy, UK, Germany, France. All these small towns where they got connected to the main hubs of economical activity, they did transformed. And so I will say, I don't have to prove anything. Let's look at YouTube videos where they're saying when Tokyo got connected to the next town, which was a small farm town, they turned into a metropolis in 10 years. And economic activity that happened in that small town just contributed to the GDP of Japan. I believe that this is exactly what's going to happen here.
Thank you, Mr. Choudri, for being on the Maddy Report today. Really appreciate your time.
Thank you very much for inviting me.
Thank you. And thank you for tuning into the Maddy Report today. To learn more about the Maddy Institute, visit themaddyinstitute.org. The views expressed in the Maddy Report are those of the individuals participating in the program and do not necessarily reflect the views of the Maddy Institute. If you'd like to share your thoughts about today's episode of the Maddy Report, please visit our website at maddyinstitute.com.